Hello, Libra. This is your 2017 forecast with Astrologykiki. We're going to start off talking about Jupiter, which has been in your first house and will continue to be in your first house until October of 2017. And this is really a positive thing. Jupiter tends to be the planet of luck and expansion, and this is really an auspicious time for you where you have the potential to increase wealth and possibilities and really just sort of go after your goals and your dreams and take the initiative. It can expand your experience, but you really do have to take advantage of it. You have to make an effort to go after what it is that you want. And you can see expansion in terms of wealth, in terms of um, maybe something that you've been longing for or wanting to do for a long time. It will be moving in October into your second house, which is the house of finances, earned income, and possessions. And that too is a very positive thing to have Jupiter in your second house. You will most likely see an expansion in terms of the money that you're making or the money that you're saving. This can help your budgeting. It can really increase a sense of generosity and just very positive outlook in terms of um, your confidence in your wealth and a feeling of abundance. So Jupiter is doing some really fantastic things for you this year, or sorry, in 2017, depending on when you're viewing this. And Saturn, on the other hand, is the planet of restriction. It likes to teach you lessons, and it people can see it as a very harsh planet. But really, the intent of Saturn is to help you in something that that to move you forward. So it's even though these lessons aren't always welcomed, the end result is always positive and helps you move forward through the rest of your life. It's a very slow moving planet, so you don't see it very often. And it should help you for years to come once you pass all those obstacles that Saturn provides you. And so Saturn will be going from the third house and moving at the very end of the year. So most of your Saturn transit in the fourth house will be in 2018. So for the most part, it will be of 2017. It will be in your third house, and that's really going to mean, and it's been there for a while, so you've been experiencing this, but it sort of impacts your communication. It may be harder for you to be eloquent and say the things that you really want to say in maybe the most appropriate way. And this is one of the lessons that Saturn is here to teach you is how can you better communicate and have the message really received by others in an appropriate way, or it could have to do with writing. If you do writing, this is actually not a bad house for Saturn to be in, because it does force you to work on these things harder, and really the end result is going to be that you will have improved your communication and you will have tried harder and worked on things to get to a place where you want to be and to move forward. So if it's writing or marketing or advertising, something along those lines, contracts, it will really help you to improve that. So then when at the end of the year, when Saturn transits into your fourth house, you will have learned that lesson. And it could also mean there's also a part of the third house that has to do with siblings, community, and relatives. And so there could be some strained relationships that you will have to work through in that sense. And then by the end of the transit, you should have been able to resolve them. The fourth house, again, that moves in December. Saturn moves into the fourth house in December. Once you start to get into that, you may see more of you may go into some maybe old childhood issues and have to work through those. Your lessons to be learned will be based on possibly something in your past, some issues that you've had with your parents that still need to be worked out. You will be revisiting those. Or it could also mean that you kind of feel trapped in whatever living situation you're in, and you will have to work through any kind of property related or home home situation. But that will be mostly a 2018 transit. So you also have your North Node will be transiting your 12th house, and then in May it'll go into your 11th house. So with your 12th house, the North Node basically, it's things that in order to feel kind of personally successful or have personal growth, you will need to go out and do certain things or feel certain ways in order to feel personally good, and like you're moving, you're progressing through life. And so the focus for that has been, with the last year or so, has been on 12th house issues. So maybe you've become more spiritual. Maybe you have gotten involved in astrology or yoga. Things that really sort of are centering, and that's what's making you feel like you're progressing. This is what you have needed throughout 2016. And in May, that will go into your 11th house. So the focus for what you're really going to need to feel successful and productive will change to more of like a community-based issue, joining organizations, doing charity work, volunteering, hanging out with acquaintances, networking, being around others, and sharing sort of common goals and dreams and aspects. That will really motivate you throughout the second half of the year. There are also some eclipses that happen in February and August, and those will be, it's like a series, and they will be, not all of them are in these two houses, but you're going to go through a series that's going to impact your 5th and 11th houses. And it should be interesting. They should bring changes. Eclipses typically bring changes. Whether they're good or bad, and so you may see sort of beginnings and endings with regards to communities, maybe sports or relationships, people that you've been hanging out with that no longer are sort of who you want to be hanging out with anymore. You kind of change that. You change the organizations that you're a part of. Your 5th house is the house of fun and creativity and children. So you may have changes with regards to your children. Maybe a child is going away to school, or maybe you are having a child. Maybe you've been trying to conceive. These changes might actually make that happen. So these eclipses can take many forms, and but I would expect some sort of changes with regards to maybe what you do, what kind of organizations you are a part of, what you do for fun, who you are out and about with. Um, you may see some there. And again, it depends on your natal chart and the degrees and how closely they're going to relate to this. So some of these could have major impacts on you and some of them not so much. But you can always find out what degree, what degrees will be affected. And there are some opportunities to do that on the askiki.com site. But one other thing that I wanted to mention is that there will be a trine in different times of the year between Uranus and Saturn. Trine is a positive aspect. It usually means that there's a very harmonious relationship between the two planets. And Saturn is in your third house, really through all of these periods that I'm about to mention, and Uranus will be in your seventh house. So you're going to see this positive connection between your house of communication, siblings, and your house of partnerships. So that could be business or like a marriage or a very close bond if you've been seeing someone for a long time. And this is going to happen. It happened this trine took place at the end of 2016, and then it'll happen again towards the middle of May and the middle of November as well. But these can be really positive things, and I would expect to see sort of a similar theme between those months. So the end of December, the middle of May, and the middle of November, you may see sort of a sequence of events there, something tying the communication and the partnership. You may have people that are getting engaged. So say if you get engaged in December and then maybe you set the wedding date for November or May, there may be something going on there. Or you're considering a business partnership, and there may be some thread that sort of ties you through those 3 months. But again, it's a very positive aspect. Saturn is a planet of stability, and Uranus is the planet of instability. So it should be interesting. It might be a little bit of a wild ride, but I think Saturn, if anything, will sort of stabilize any of the unexpected surprise type of issues. But again, those are really issues that are going to come around communication, possibly siblings, and partnerships. Again, business or marriage. So I think there's a huge possibility that a lot of Libras out there will be getting engaged or getting married. You have surprise communication with regards to your partner. You may have people going into business with their siblings, and it possibly a little bit unexpected there. But overall, it looks like a pretty good year for you, and thank you very much.